Hello class, welcome to lesson 26, where we are going to be trying to find the percent of a quantity. Here is the first half of the page for those of you copying along at home. Here is the second half of the page for those of you following along. All right, let's get started. So the question we're going to try and answer today is when I'm given a percent, if that's what the problem gives me, and the whole or part of the quantity, how can I find the missing value? Now this is a little tricky, so pay very close attention. All we can do is we have to use the data that's given to us. Can't make any up. We have to use the data to create fractions with a denominator of 100. Okay? Or we can model the data. I know that doesn't give us a lot of information, so let's jump right in and try and do an example. Okay? So here, if the Cardinals won 75% of their games and they played 16 games, how many did they win? So here we have, it's giving us the percent and the whole. Okay, the percent is 75 and the whole is the whole season of 16 games. Okay, so we have our percent and our whole. Now it's given us those couple things, and the task we need to perform is we either need to create a fraction with the denominator of 100 with the 75%, turn that into 75 over 100, or we're going to model the data. We do it both ways. Let's take a look at the first way with the fraction. Okay? So we take our 75% and we turn it into 75 over 100, because you remember percent means per 100. So 75% means 75 per 100. Okay? So once we've done that, our whole on the percent is 100. But we know that our whole in the actual scenario is 16 games. So we need to get from 100 to 16. And I will tell you, it's not going to be super simple. So let's go ahead and best thing to do whenever we have a fraction like 75 over 100 is to simplify it all the way down right away. So let's go ahead and do that. We have, we have 75 over 100. We think to ourselves, what goes into both 75 and 100? If you're talking about 75 cents out of a dollar, you can divide by a quarter, right? Divide by 25. So 75 divided by 25 is 3. 100 divided by 25 is 4. So 75 hundredths is equal to 3/4. All right. And now, once we've gotten to 3/4, we want to get to our whole number of games, which is 16 games. So we want to get from 4 to 16. We do know how to do that. All we have to do is multiply by 4. Okay, so if we multiply by 4 on the bottom, we've got to multiply by 4 on top. So 3 times 4 equals 12. So they won 12 games out of 16. So there's our answer. 12 games won. Go ahead and get rid of some of this stuff real fast. Get that out of the way. Okay. Now, if that was somehow hard to follow, which I'm sure for some of us it was, let's have some blank space and watch it happen in real time. So we have 75%. Really, we want to know what's 75% of 16. Okay? So 75% is 17, or sorry, not 17, 75 over 100, and we need to make that equal something over 16. all right? Now we can't jump straight from 100 to 16, so what we're going to do is we're going to simplify 75 over 100. 75 over 100, if you divide both of them by 25, it's going to give you 3/4. So really, what we're doing is we're trying to find what is 3/4 of 16. And we know, hopefully, by now, or at least we have an idea that 4 times something equals 16. 4 times 4 equals 16. If 4 is on the bottom, 4 is going to be on the top. So 3 times 4 equals 12. All right. Hopefully that second time maybe helped. Now we're looking at it in terms of a model. So our model part of the task says model the data. So the data is 75% of the games they won, they played 16. So the whole season, or the whole section we're talking about, while you create your model, you could do double number line, you could do a tape diagram if you wanted to. You could even do a table. I would say tape diagrams and double number lines would be the best. But if our whole model is worth 16, then 100% is going to match up with the 16, because 100% is always going to be our whole. Okay, so as we draw our double number line, 16 is the maximum number of games, and 100% is the maximum percent. All right, so if we know that they won 75% of those games, we got to think to ourselves, okay, self, I'm going to get rid of some of this extra stuff here. Okay, if I jumped from 75 to 100, that means I jumped 25%. Okay, so when I go down again, I need to subtract 25%. When I go down again, I need to subtract 25%. And then one more time to get to the very end, I need to subtract 25%. So each one of these sections that we see here is worth 25%. And we see 1, 2, 3, 4 sections. So in order to figure out what goes down here along the bottom, we need to split 16 into 4 sections. Okay, so 16 divided by 4 is 4, so we split it into 4 sections, or each section is going to be worth 4. So if we do what we did on the top, we know each section is worth 4, so we subtract 4, 4, 4, and then 4 will have us reach 0 again. All right, now that we've done that, that's how we figured out what numbers go on the outside of our double number line. Now we just count them all up. Let me see if I can get rid of all this stuff. Good. Oops. No, gotta get rid of it all. Get rid of that. Rid of that. Okay. No. All right. So if we're trying to reach 75%, all we have to do is follow it down. What's the corresponding value with 75%? 12. So they won 12 games. Now if you need a second look at that, we'll do it down here. So 75% of 16. Okay, so if 16, here's our double number line. If 16 is going to be our final value, that means we also, if that's our whole, then our whole percentage is going to be 100%. So this top line is the percent, and the bottom line is the games. Okay, so we are trying to find 75%. That's the part. Okay, so if this says 75%, because that's the data that it gave us, we know that this jump in here is worth 25. So that means if we jump one more down, subtract 25, gives us 50, jump 25 down again, 50 minus 25 is 25, and then 25 minus 25 is 0. So this is 0 and 0. If we split this up into 4 sections, 1, 2, 3, and 4, 16 divided by 4 is 4. So we do 16 minus 4 here, which is 12, 12 minus 4, which is 8, 8 minus 4, which is 0, and 4, or sorry, 8 minus 4, which is 4, and 4 minus 4, which is 0. Okay, so in between here, there's 4 on each. Okay, so if 20 or 75% is the whole that we, or is the part of the whole that we were talking about, look at 75%, follow it down, we got 12. All right, and I know that was a long one. Hopefully you gathered some of that. We will practice this more tomorrow. Here is the your work. Model the same information using a different type of model. I'd recommend a tape diagram.